Following a chemical attack believed to have been carried out by the Syrian government on their own people, the United States, France, and the UK launched a counterattack on Syria and bombed a facility believed to have been producing chemical weapons. Russia is allies with Syria. Furthermore, it is believed that Russia was involved in a nerve agent attack on an ex-Soviet spy. As a result, tensions between the United States and Russia are rising. Russian diplomats in America are being sent back to Russia, and American diplomats in Russia are being sent back to America. Russia's ambassador, Lebanon Alexander Zasipskin, warned that if there is a US missile attack, they will shoot down US rockets and even the sources that launched the missiles. Donald Trump responded by tweeting, "You shouldn't be partners with a gas-killing animal who kills his people and enjoys it." All of these recent developments and rising tensions are making people wonder, what if America and Russia went to war? Hello and welcome back to Life's Biggest Questions. I'm Charlotte Dobre. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and ask us a question in the comments below. United Nations officials were quoted saying that the relations between the US and Russia have worsened to Cold War era levels, and potentially much worse. As a result, both countries have engaged in military drills to prepare for a possible war, and that war could break out at any time. According to US Secretary General Antonio Guterres, during the Cold War, there were mechanisms of dialogue, of control, of communication to make sure that whenever there was a risk of confrontation or incidents, things would not get out of control. These mechanisms today do not exist, he said. If the United States and Russia went to war, it would be a war between the two most powerful nations on Earth. Let's examine the possibility of a nuclear war. Russia and the United States own 90% of all the nuclear weapons on Earth. The US has about 8,000 nuclear warheads, and Russia actually has more, 8,500 warheads. Almost all of America's intercontinental ballistic missiles are pointed right at Russia. Russia's are likely doing the same thing. Well, that doesn't sound too promising, does it? For either side. So what about a conventional war? We all know how great America's military is, but Russia's military could very well fight a large-scale war against the United States. Russia has an estimated 845,000 active troops and another 2.5 million in reserve. Russian soldiers have advanced equipment, uniforms, tanks, and guns. Winning the war would definitely depend on where the war was fought, as well as what time of year. As we saw with the case of World War II, the Nazis were no match for a war in the fierce Russian winter. Russia has a presence in Cuba, but they have very few bases outside the former Soviet Union. However, according to a Russian military journal, there is one thing that Russia is lacking, and continues to lack despite its advanced military: a healthcare system that is capable of handling a major conflict. As you probably know, Russia's healthcare system is public, but that means that it does not have the funding that it needs to house adequate equipment, trained doctors, and the actual hospitals themselves. This will inevitably mean that if Russia goes to war with the West, they will have packed facilities paired with substantial loss of life. For example, a hospital near Russia's border only has 2,000 beds. A huge war could mean 100,000 casualties. The soldiers that will have access to the beds in this hospital will have poor medical care and unqualified doctors. That's according to the US Army's Foreign Military Studies. As demonstrated with previous wars, Russia is willing to sacrifice a lot in order to win. Both Hitler and Napoleon found that out the hard way. That being said, many experts argue that although Russia can fight small conflicts, it can't take on the United States. The US has one of the best healthcare systems in the world, and a lot of money. It has an advantage over Russia in the skies. Its planes are the biggest in the world, equipped with better equipment. It also has 1.4 million active troops, 850,000 in reserve, and 598 active military bases all over the world. Oh yeah, and the US will also be backed by NATO. So who would win? Well, it would probably be the United States, but truthfully, would anyone really win a war that's sure to be as bloody as the one that could happen between the US and Russia? What do you think a war between the US and Russia would look like? Let us know in those comments. For now, I'm Charlotte Dobre, and you've been watching Life's Biggest Questions. If you want to go on an LBQ binge, why not check out our playlist, Biggest What Ifs, clickable on the screen right now. As always, make sure notifications are turned on by clicking the bell, and we'll see you in the next video.